Mr. Speaker, we went ahead to consider the report. He never raised any complaint. He never brought any memorandum. We left that room at about 6 p.m. That's the so-called memorandum was not brought to the notice of the committee at that hour.
All right.
Mr. Speaker, I know.
So we go to the leader of majority.
I know. May I continue? May I continue, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, may I continue?
Any point of order? Any point of order that I'm going to entertain? What is it, Honorable KJ? What is it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And it's going to be a minute.
And with your protection, kindly, Mr. Speaker,
not a speech.
I can be heard in silence.
Not a speech. A point of order is not going to be heard in silence. It's going to be heard briefly.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I did rise in my place and request that this House admits a report to this House procedurally following the provisions of Article 118 of the Constitution that requires us to have public participation. Mr. Speaker, from the chair yesterday, you said public participation cannot be seen to be a cosmetic affair. Mr. Speaker, yesterday evening, the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs met, Mr. Speaker. And this is a house of records. No. Mr. Speaker, if we went, Mr. Speaker, allow me. Allow me to make my point.
I'm not going to allow
Mr. Speaker, there is no consideration of memos that came in yesterday, and we cannot say that we have done conclusive public participation.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. So, Chair. Okay, proceed. Chair, proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Baya, yeah. I'm not going to accept yours. No. Thank you. Chair, proceed. Proceed, Honorable Chair, and then we come to
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chair, you can wind down your. Okay. Honorable members, now take your seats. Now take your seats. Take your seats.
Where are you?
Now.
Give it to TKJ. Speaker.
Now let me comment about the Hansard. Take your seats. I comment about the Hansard. Take your seat. Take your seats, honorable members. Now is your hand. Okay. Now order, Honorable KJ. Honorable KJ, take your seat. And the rest of the members, take your seats. Now let me make a comment about the request that you have asked about the Hansard. Now can you just take your seats? I am going to order that particular member out. So take your seats. You have asked for the production of the Hansard. You have asked for the production of the Hansard. You, Honorable KJ, I'm going to ask that if you become unruly, I will take some steps which I do not want to. You have made a request and you are still shouting. That does not make you are being very unruly. Now, you have said that you want to see the progress. So I'm not giving anybody the mic now. I am making a ruling. We will progress. We will progress. The member for Tigania West. The member for Tigania West. Member for Tigania West. Siwezi. I will not. I will not. Of yesterday by Jela Committee. It's a simple one. So we'll simply, in the meantime, as we progress, we ask that the answer be brought. Then I do not think there should be anybody else unless there is another issue that you want to canvass. So let's have. Now, so I order that the Hansard record of yesterday's meeting be brought here. But in the meantime, we shall be progressing as we wait for the record. So, Honorable Leader Majority, proceed. Let's proceed. Yeah? So order, honorable members, order. So this is how we are going to progress. In the meantime, we are going to get the meeting records for the Committee on Justice yesterday. And secondly, I am going to make a ruling later, if need be, on Murugara's request and guidance. So let's progress. The two things will be handled. Proceed, Honorable. Now let me tell you, Honorable members. I know for sure you know that the ruling is not possible now because, number one, the Honorable Murugara did not give notice directly to the Speaker. He has made his notice here. And it is not your ruling anyway. It is Murugara's ruling. So we are going to progress as we get all those things. Thank you. Let's proceed. Yes. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2021, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, political parties are endemic to democracy. Indeed, the kind of political democracy we are seeing in this House today is anchored on political party thinking. They are the vehicles that move our democratic space and give our citizens the opportunity to choose their leaders from amongst contenders in every election. Active participation of citizens in political parties certainly offers unique benefits to the citizens, including the opportunities to influence policy choices, choose and engage political leaders, and even run for office. Honorable Speaker, it is in this sense that this bill seeks to propose amendments aimed at strengthening party autonomy, encouraging individual and citizen participation in party politics, requiring registration of members and parties to maintain a members list, and requiring that parties be formed based on certain common political ideals. Honorable Speaker, when we enacted the 2010 Constitution, we did define political parties within Article 260. And the political party was defined as an association contemplated in Part 3 of Chapter 7. Now, Chapter 3 of Part 7, Honorable Speaker, contains two parts, or two sections, 91 and 92. 91 defines the characteristics that a political party must have. That it shall have a national character, it shall have a democratic elected governing body, it shall promote national unity, it shall abide by a certain values that every political party should have. It also, in the sub-article 2, defines what a party shall not have. But Article 92 then put the responsibility on this parliament to legislate on political parties. So, we then went ahead and legislated in 2011. And when we did the Political Parties Act, number 11 of 2011, we then in clause 2, defined, which is now section 2, we defined a political party as has a meaning assigned to it in Article 260 of the Constitution. So we ended up with a situation where the House that was given the power by the Kenyan people to define a political party did not do the definition, and hence we've been having So since 2011, we've been having this problem where a political party has not been defined by this House. Yet the responsibility was put on this House to even define a political party. Honorable Speaker, when there was a case, the political parties coalition forum went to court when we were seeking funding for political parties in a coalition. And the courts did rule in 2016, and the matter was upheld in the Court of Appeal that the law does not define a political party. And it is the responsibility of Parliament to define a political party and not the courts. So, what we then did is, first of all, we must take that cue from the courts. The courts have said that Parliament was expected to define a political party. Parliament has not defined a political party, and hence the courts cannot define what a political party means. So hence, one of the provisions within this political party amendment is to define what a political party is. And it's an association of citizens with common ideals that are pursuing a certain agenda. So first of all, this bill cures one of the problems we have within our law, where political parties are not defined. And this is one of the fundamental amendments that we are bringing in this bill. This bill also goes ahead and says Article 260 envisages an association. It does not define whether it's an association of natural persons or legal persons or parties or bodies, and hence, in this definition, which has been proposed for debate in this House, it's for debate in this House. This definition now that we are putting, that basically says that an association, that a political party is now being defined for avoidance of doubt as an association of citizens with an identifiable ideology or program that is constituted for the purposes of influencing public policy or nominating candidates to contest election. That definition does not exist in our law today because we just did a convoluted thing. The Constitution says it's an association as contemplated in Part 7. In our law, we then said it's an association as defined in Article 260. So the two of them have never defined a political party. So for once, we are going to have a definition of a political party. Now, we also looked at the history of this country. Going back to, let's start from 2002 or even late 90s, when NDP merged with KANU, and NDP was merged into KANU, they could not make a decision, they exploded. 2002, Democratic Party, Ford Kenya, and National Party of Kenya, plus the Rainbow Coalition, came together under the National Rainbow Coalition, NAC. It could not be possible to register a coalition, and hence we adopted one of the parties, NPK, to change its name. Immediately the parties got into power. NAC was reclaimed by the owner, and hence, all of a sudden, the whole government was at the behest of one of the owners of the party. Fast forward to 2013, TNA got into a coalition with URP. And in that coalition, the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, had a running mate from URP, but who could not run on URP because the party, the polo, does not recognize coalitions. So, His Excellency William Ruto had to run on TNA. Now, move forward to 2017. God, not even, let's move just for example to 2017. A number of parties, ODM, Wiper, ANC, Ford Kenya, moved together as the National Super Alliance. But the National Super Alliance could not sponsor a candidate. So ODM sponsored the candidate, right? Including the running mate, who was not from ODM. And as a result, we all know the issues that have happened since then. In between, in 2016, Jubilee attempted to cure the problem and amalgamated all the parties that had supported Jubilee in the coalition. We know the story that happened. Yeah? So, of course, some people have voted, yeah? But the issue we need to look at is that in Kenya, it's so clear that coalitions will be the issue of the future. It's a global phenomenon. In Britain, there are coalitions. In Germany, there are coalitions. In South Africa, there's coalitions. Everywhere, it's coalitions. But how do we ensure that parties that come together through a coalition are protected from the issues we have seen in the past? And you see, that is what we need to think of. That when 2 or 3 parties come together, it cannot be the big brother that they are relying on to protect them. They must be protected in law. And hence, what we are providing for now is a legal recognition of any framework that allows 3 or so political parties to come up together so that they sponsor their candidates as a political party, they share in the money as a political party, and it's not up to big brother or small brother to control the shots. Now, that is the best thing that can happen to this country. And I would doubt why would anyone even have a problem with this kind of arrangement where your small party is protected, you as an individual is protected, and we can move forward. Honorable Speaker, we also know that we've been having problems with access to political party funding. Political parties are funded by the Exchequer to the tune of 0.3% of the national revenue. Okay, we'll be making an amendment to that because the national revenue reference was in 2011. Now we know it's shareable revenue, which excluding the money for counties. But that money is only accessible to what we call the big boys. That money has never been accessible to the small parties. So small parties will have 3-4 members of parliament, they will have a governor, they will have some members of the county assemblies, but they cannot access the national kitty that's set up to promote the growth of democracy in this country. So one of the amendments that are being proposed in this law is to lower the threshold for access into the national funds that are being provided for the growth of democracy in this country. So that any party that wins a seat, be it in the county assembly, be it as a governor, be it in the Senate, or be it in this National Assembly, has put enough effort to merit participating in the sharing of the national funds. And you see, this is the kind of thing that is good for democracy in this country. Now, we may oppose things because we think we don't need this. Now, I want to say, if a small party like the PDR was not given a coalition housing by Jubilee, there will be no order today. Because PDR, as a small party, was housed by a bigger party. It was able to produce a bigger party. So, basically, what we are looking at in these amendments, all these amendments typically have been brought in to ensure that we now clean up the mess we have not cleaned up since 2011. What the courts have told us, you need to clean up, so that political parties can be properly defined, the issue of coalition parties, the sharing of money, and most importantly also, how we participate within our nominations, so that we don't have a situation where one party goes to influence the results of another political party at the nomination to get the weakest candidate. Only members of a certain political party will be able to participate. We've seen that happen where the worst candidates have been produced because a political party that has an interest in an area goes and influences the results of that by briskly supporting the weakest candidate. So, honorable members, I wish to ask that you look at this bill and look at it from a positive perspective in terms of how it enriches democracy. And if you find that there are some areas that require amendments, let us reason together. Let us bring those amendments. Let us harmonize them so that we give to the Kenyan people a political party act that will withstand the test of time now and into the future. Honorable Speaker, I could go on and on, but I don't want to go through some.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leave the matter at that point and urge members that let us think when we are legislating for posterity. We are not legislating for any of us, but basically for the bigger good of the people of Kenya, to ameliorate the suffering of the ordinary Kenyan who is suffering because of the issues we have. Now, no, he said, yeah. So, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. No, it's okay. No, I beg to move and request the chair of JLAC, who had the responsibility and honor to get a public participation, to take us through the process of what they did, so that the issue that people are raising that there was no public participation, I know there was a lot of public participation. Before the publication of this bill, there was public participation. After the publication of this bill, there was public participation. In Mombasa, there was public participation. So we know that this bill has gone through the most extensive public participation, including by all the political parties who have been invited and who have done the bid. But, so Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and ask the Honorable Muturi Kigano to second.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second, and I confirm and fortify what the leader of opposition has said. Majority. You are opposition. Zenko. Yes. Yes. Mr. Speaker, the leader of majority has expounded on Article 270 as it relates to the meaning of political parties. Mr. Speaker, I confirm that my committee looked into this and we found that Article 260 deposes the ascription of meaning to registration through Article 92. If you look at the subheading of Article 292, it speaks for itself. Registration on political parties. Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for, among other things, the management of political parties. So a definition, therefore, the definition is therefore repost. It is repost registration. Now, the registration that has ascribed meaning is the bill now. The bill that is before this House is the one under clause 2. The bill, the Political Bills Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. Speaker, if you can protect me from this heckler. Yeah? I don't know what type of government they would have. The government they aspire to have. A government of disorder and everything. Mr. Speaker, the bill here is going to remove, to erase any the overlapping mandates between IBC and the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties to enhance effective management of political parties and define the role of the Registrar of the Office